Welcome to Peace, Love, and Baseball's STL Cards Season Scrapbook Edition. This is our first weekly live episode covering all things St. Louis Cardinals this 2024 season. So today we're trying to find our groove, get into the swing of the season with these weekly episodes. So we'll recap the first 10 games of the season in our Scrapbook Moments segment, as the Cardinals currently sit right at 500 with a 5-5 record at the end of play today, Sunday, April 7th. So the chat is open. Feel free to share thoughts, comments, dreams, etc., and play along. The Cardinals started the season in LA against the Dodgers with 4 games, those star-studded Dodgers, before they headed down to San Diego for 3 versus Mike Shildt and the Padres. They rounded out week 1 with their own home opener at Busch Stadium and a 3-game series with Skip Schumacher's Marlins. On March 28th, we started play with going right for the jugular against the Los Angeles Dodgers out on the West Coast. Ohtani reaches base 3 times, Betts and Freeman homer in the 3rd inning, and ultimately the Dodgers beat the St. Louis Cardinals 7-1 in their Dodger Stadium home opener. Miles Mikolas was our opening day starter. He threw 74 pitches in 4 1/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs, 2 on home runs. He had 5 strikeouts and 2 walks. Andre Pallante followed up, giving up an earned run in 1 2/3 innings, as did Riley O'Brien in his first inning of work as well. Both Pallante and O'Brien struck out 2, while O'Brien also walked a couple of batters. Matthew Liberatore finished out the game with a clean inning and a strikeout. And I don't know about you, but Libby out of the pen just hits differently. And I'm here for it. 8 of his 10 pitches in that outing on opening day were for strikes. Paul Goldschmidt provided the only offense for the Cardinals with 3 hits, one of which was a solo home run off of starter Tyler Glasnow. Moving into March 28th, Mookie Betts. Oh, that Mookie Betts. Love him or hate him, he hit a leadoff home run against starter Zach Thompson. I mean, how can you hate him? He's amazing. He's doing amazing things on both sides of the ball. And yeah, he did what he's going to do. He hit that leadoff home run. And then new Dodger Teoscar Hernandez had a 2 home run day, both off of Zach Thompson. And Miguel Rojas got in on the home run fun later in the game against Gallegos. The Dodgers beat the Cardinals 6-3. Nolan Gorman, however, broke an 0 for 36 by the Cardinals players not named Paul Goldschmidt with his first 2 hits of the season in this March 29th game. Mason Wynn, Wilson Contreras, and Jordan Walker all added hits to the board, but couldn't string together enough to catch up to the Dodgers. Zach Thompson threw 5 1/3 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, walked 2, and struck out 4. Here's the thing with Zach Thompson that I found kind of interesting. And I know we were talking about this on the broadcast, but in 100 innings pitched total in 2022 and 2023, Zach Thompson gave up a total of 11 home runs. So that was good for an average below one home run per 9 innings. He has already allowed 4 home runs in 10 1/3 innings pitched in 2024. Let me know if you have any thoughts or insights on that. Hopefully more of a fluke than a sign that he's going to be competing for most home runs allowed this season alongside his new teammate Lance Lynn. But the real star of this game was Dodgers starter Bobby Miller, who struck out a career high 11 strikeouts in his 6 innings of work. He allowed just 2 hits with no runs and a walk, and pretty hard to go up against what is, without argument, going to be one of the best teams in baseball this season when you've got a starting pitcher that shuts you down like that. Let's talk about March 30th, though, because some wins are coming. I don't know about you, but after those first 2 games, I was actually on the East Coast, and so I was like staying up really late to take in those first few games and just be excited that baseball was back. And it was hard to feel the excitement and really take it all in because of how these first 2 games played out. That being said, they could have been way worse. It really came down to a handful of bad pitches. And that's perspective that we can have now, especially as we roll into March 30th, which was the first Cardinal win of the season. First Cardinal win, first rain delay, first extra innings, and the first start by Lance Lynn in a Cardinal uniform since 2017. How do you feel about having Lance Lynn back on the team? I think the overall perception, the vibes are good. People are into it. I know take Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson together, like out of context, and just separate how you feel about just Lance Lynn, if you can. Because for me, having those two signings come out back to back before we had even signed Sonny Gray and all of that stuff, like it kind of held me back from feeling any positivity and excitement that I'm starting to feel now from having Lance Lynn and his personality and his leadership back on the team. And as much as we're talking about Matt Carpenter, Brandon Crawford, vibes and leadership, I'm here for it. To an extent, I'm here for it. But I think Lance Lynn might be the guy. And I talked even more about this with Daniel Shoptaw, C70, on yesterday's episode of Meet Me at Mutual. So if you're into even more of that and a little bit more of getting into the nitty gritty and into the weeds with stuff like that, we had a great conversation last night that is you can find on my Twitter profile. So hit that up after we recap here. So in his first start as a Cardinal in many, many moons, Lynn went 4 innings. He allowed 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, and just 1 walk. No earned runs before we hit that 35-minute rain delay that surely prematurely ended his outing. The Cardinals were limited to just 2 hits in the first half of the game by Yamamoto, but we got to old friend Joe Kelly in the 7th for 3 hits and 5 runs, thanks to a little bit of luck, maybe a hit by a pitch, catcher's interference, a balk, a walk. We'll take it all, and some offense, courtesy of Burley, Crawford, and a Herrera sac fly. On top of that, B. Donnie ground rule double to just top it all off. Liberatore took over for Lynn then out of the pen. He threw 2 innings with 2 of everything, earned runs, strikeouts, and walks before passing the ball to Jojo Romero, who I'm pretty high on this season. Then Andrew Kittredge stepped in, and ultimately Ryan Helsley for his first save opportunity of the season. That did not quite go as planned. And if you have thoughts, feelings on Ryan Helsley, I'd love to hear them. The Cardinals have come out in the last couple of days and said that they do plan to use him as a more traditional closer, which I guess I get that we weren't doing that last season, but like, come on, we had the intro and everything, and he still was used relatively traditionally as a closer in the first half of last season before, it was just useless to even have a closer and he was injured. But yeah, Helsley comes in. He allows 4 hits and 2 runs. The Dodgers tie the game in the bottom of the 9th. And I'm laying here. My husband is asleep next to me. I'm watching on my laptop because, again, I'm still on the East Coast and I'm barely awake. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All of the feels, the scars started to resurface from last season. I know you feel me. We were all right there. It was a really, really bad headspace to be in. But our young speedster, Victor Scott, too, he scored in the 10th on a ground out from Goldie. And even though Gallegos challenged our blood pressure again, which he does, and I think he will continue to do, it's just his thing, in the bottom of the 10th, he was able to hold the Dodgers off for a 6-5 Cardinals win. Whew. March 31st, happy Easter. Another close game as Steven Matz made his first start for the Birds, going 5 1/3 innings with 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Goldie and B. Downey combined for all 4 RBIs in this game for the Cardinals at the top of the lineup. But Palante gave up another couple runs late to the Dodgers. And then John King. This has been my first big question mark in terms of bullpen usage. John King, bring him in a close game against the Dodgers. He just was brought up the day before from AAA Memphis, and he ultimately allowed the winning run in his 2/3 innings of work to call it a loss for the Cardinals on Easter Sunday. The moment that I want to pick out, cut out, tape it all over the scrapbook, though, is Victor Scott, too, collecting his first major league hit on Easter Sunday, a double in the first off of Dodgers starter Gavin Stone. Add it to the memory book. April 1st. Oh, you know what? Before we move on to San Diego, let's just talk about like the overall kind of vibes and feelings from that first series. Like, did you walk away from that Dodgers series feeling like Well, it was the Dodgers because I saw a lot of that, especially from, the mainstream media covering the Cardinals. And we want them to keep our attitudes as positive as possible to some extent. But I saw a lot of that being like, well, you kind of expected it going in with the Dodgers. Is that how you felt? Were you like, okay, it's the Dodgers, not all hope is lost? Or, were you straight back into the depths of 2023? I didn't necessarily feel that way. In retrospect, the moments that were frustrating in the game ultimately and long term, I think will reflect more on the struggles that the Dodgers could have throughout the season than the Cardinals falling back into the depths of 2023. That was my personal take on it. And again, that was me like days removed here with a couple wins under our belt now to feel a little differently, but especially in the ways that they have continued to play and the consistencies that we're starting to see. I don't think it was anything to be super alarmed about. And I do think we're watching a different team in 2024. And that's like the biggest thing that we're looking for right now. And that we'll continue to try to evaluate throughout the first couple months of the season. So April 1st brings us to San Diego and Kyle Gibson's first start as a Redbird. Gibson went 7 innings strong. This is important to remember after today, you guys. 7 innings, allowed just 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Both of the runs that he allowed were scored on 2 home runs to Jackson Merrill, the hotshot rookie center fielder for the Padres. He's going to be fun to watch this season. And that superstar energy from Fernando Tatis. He's just got it. Love it or hate it. Brendan Donovan broke out with a 3-hit game, including 2 RBIs and a walk. Nolan Arenado had his first multi-hit game of the year. Praise. Including 2 RBIs. Nolan Arenado had his first multi-hit game on the year, picking up just 1 RBI. Carpenter, Walker, and Wynn each collected multiple hits in this April 1st game. No fools there. And Goldie and Contreras got in on the offensive action as well. Mason Wynn snagged a bag and all that good stuff. This is what we've got to see, right? All that good stuff strings together for 6 runs and let a clear path for Jojo Romero to set up a scoreless 8th and Ryan Helsley to earn his first save of the season. Yes. Let's keep the good vibes rolling straight into April 2nd, where Miles Michaelis made start number 2. He allowed 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts over another 7 full innings of work here from our starter. He was backed up nicely by the bullpen to shut down the Padres any further. The offense was led by another multi-hit game from Brendan Donovan, a big 2-run home run from our catcher, Wilson Contreras. You love to see it. Doubles for both Walker and BS2 to combine for 5 runs total. 3 of those runs were off of the Padres' top starter, Yu Darvish, and another couple were off of new reliever Yuki Matsui, who I think is going to be really interesting to watch this season as well. He wasn't the guy that I wanted to see the Cardinals get to, but when my team's playing anyone, I'll take it. Gallegos, Kittredge, and Helsley combined for 3 scoreless innings to secure another Red Bird winner. Really good to see the Cardinals winning close competitive games early on too. And that Padres team, they're not the Dodgers. They certainly don't have the hype around them that the Dodgers do, but they're a good team. And they are a team that I do expect, despite dumping payroll, to also play better than last season. So all good signs. April 3rd, Zach Thompson is back on the mound. He allows 3 runs collected by the Padres in this game in his 5 innings of work, 4 walks, and 5 strikeouts. Again, if you have thoughts on Zach Thompson, I was not able to watch this game close enough to analyze his performance. And obviously, he's holding a spot in the rotation until, will he make another start this season? It's yet to be determined. But I am very high on Zach Thompson for the Cardinals. I'm just not sure where he fits, and perhaps he's just not made for this rotation and to be thrust into it in this way. I don't know. I guess I don't want to put the blame on him and his stuff is what I'm most wanting to say, and that I think we've yet to see his full potential, and that might be because of the way he's been utilized so far. Anyway, Libby Palante and the MLB debut of Ryan Fernandez, who he did allow a hit and a walk, but then he ultimately struck out the side, all three batters. They held back the Padres in the final 3 innings, but the offense for the Cardinals never picked up enough to pull ahead in this game. They combined for just 2 runs on 6 hits and went 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. So a 3-2 loss there to the Padres on April 3rd. Can't make the sweep happen, but hey, we're heading back. We're heading back home. We're heading to home for the first time. It's April 4th. It's opening day at Busch Stadium. Are there any vibes more immaculate than opening day at Busch Stadium? Lance Lynn took the mound to Back in Black by AC/DC. The first out was recorded on a web gem, like highlight reel catch by Michael Ciani. And that just set the tone for the game that no matter what happens, there was fight in this team and they were ready to show that fight in front of the home crowd. Ivan Herrera hit his first Major League Baseball home run, but Jake Burger of the Marlins answered with a burger bomb to even it at 1-1. We cut to the 5th inning where Josh Bell homers with Arias on base, and it's 3-1, Marlins up. Jake Burger, he's back, and this time he hits one straight into Big Mac land. I have to admit that I love Jake Burger as a player. I just think his vibes are high. He's a guy that, again, like has yet to reach his full potential, and he's got a lot to play for, and he's got really good heart. And it was a little poetic that he hit a burger bomb into Big Mac land. I can look back on it now and appreciate it, right? Because even though that was the 3rd home run given up that day by Lance Lynn, fortunately, in the bottom half of that inning, the Cardinals capitalized when Victor Scott reached base on a fielder's choice error that also advanced Michael Ciani to 3rd. Nolan Arenado, here he comes. He rolls out a double to drive them both in. A wild pitch from Matthew Liberatore next inning allows Tim Anderson to score in the 6th, but here come the Cardinals doing the thing we need them to do and that we have now seen them do in multiple games already, even with where we're at right now on April 4th. Goldie on base, Arenado singles, Herrera singles, Gorman doubles, and the Cardinals take the lead. Alec Burleson keeps the line moving with an RBI single to drive in Norm, and it's 7-5 Cardinals when Mason Wynn tops it off with a triple to the right field corner, driving in Alec Burleson for an 8-5 score that would hold up thanks to Hell's Bells, which we got to hear ringing through Busch Stadium for the first time this season as Ryan Helsley secured the save at home. So it was a great team win, even with the absence of Donovan and Contreras, who were recovering from being hit by pitches. Contreras in his hand, Donovan on his elbow that he just had surgically repaired. Scary stuff, but seems very day-to-day. And then Matt Carpenter, missing that veteran leadership on opening day. He unfortunately has been benched due to an oblique injury and moved to the IL. I got to be there on opening day. This is my 3rd opening day in a row that I have attended with a couple of my good friends. And Tuesday's episode of Peace, Love, and Baseball is going to be all about opening day at Busch Stadium. And we have some really fun coverage. So that'll be a very experiential episode, very visceral episode. So please make sure that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel or on the podcast platform of your choice so that you don't miss that episode when it comes out on Tuesday, because it's clearly especially for you, Cardinals fans. All right, April 6th, a masterful performance, if you will, of 5 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 3 strikeouts from Steven Matz. He set the Cardinals up to make the most of offense that was primarily provided by Jordan Walker and Ivan Herrera for a 3-1 Cardinals victory. What a pretty little baseball game this was. Another 4 scoreless innings from the bullpen to close it out. And these are the kinds of wins we just didn't have last season. I'm not trying to get overly positive. I know we're 10 games in, but this just wasn't happening even by April 6th of last season. The team last season was built to win high scoring games. I mean, they just were. They had a starting rotation that was going to give up 5 or more runs every other start. and they were built to win a lot of like 9-7 games. And whether it had to do with just the pressure that the offense was under, that they couldn't string things together and make it work, it didn't happen. And there was just, it's so hard to pinpoint exactly what the issue was, right? Right. I need to stop like harping on it and living there because, well, today's game didn't exactly put me in the headspace to be feeling a whole lot better about, pitching performances, particularly April 7th. We made it to today. Kyle Gibson does give up 6 runs in the first inning of today's game, including 2 home runs. And we know how that Cardinals offense shuts down when the starter takes them out of it early. So this definitely had me, again, flashbacks, little like heart beating too fast, check the pulse. Gibson did go back out for 5 more innings though, and allowed just 1 more run. Unfortunately, the damage was already done, but I got that silver lining for you. Nolan Gorman hit his first home run of the season in the 5th. Michael Ciani had his first extra base hit of his Major League Baseball career and his first hit in the bigs since October of 2022 with a stand-up triple to left field in the 9th to keep us in it, even after the rain delay, to the end. Nolan Gorman also, by the way, hit his second home run of the season in the same game. But it did end in the Marlins' first win of the season and the Cardinals dropping the last game of their series with the Fish 10-3. Now that we have relived the scrapbook moments of the week, another weekly feature of each episode is going to be Bird's Bird of the Week. How clever. I know, right? We will feature a player that's particularly caught my eye, and I will tell you why. And as we do more and more of these episodes, I'd love to get you guys involved. So if there are players that have really stood out to you for one reason or another, sometimes it's really obvious, right? There's a guy who's like the guy, and he's on a heater, and we got to talk about him. But sometimes it's a little more nuanced than that. And I feel like because there were so many good team wins and so many contributors, there wasn't necessarily a really obvious Bird's Bird of the Week this week. But here's my guy. Here's who I'm going for. Here's who I want you to hone in on, especially as we move into the second full week of the season. My guy, Nolan Gorman. We call him Norm. His name is Norm. Not only is his offense getting locked in over the last few games, like simmer down if you are worked up talking about how all Nolan Gorman does is strike out and giving me his strikeout percentage in the first week of the season. Do you know how many guys have a 10-game slump throughout the course of a season? Literally every single one of them. I don't know exactly how many baseball players there are right now. If I could do quick math, I could tell you, but that's not my strong suit. And feel free to drop it in the chat. But every single one of them will have a 10-game stretch where they have a strikeout percentage like Nolan Gorman did over the first week. So I don't want to hear it. He's getting locked in, and he is really holding his own and stabilizing the infield at second base along with Mason Wynn at shortstop. The Cardinals' solid defense has been one of the best highlights so far of this season for me, and it's one of the things that I missed most, and I think we all as a fan base missed from the brand of baseball that we're used to seeing. It feels different. The vibes are different out there on the field. Everybody's just working together a little bit more connected as like a high level observation in the first week here or so. For statistics, Gorman had a .8 WAR, wins above replacement, in 2022 and a 2.4 wins above replacement in 2023, which is a stat in itself that shows how his value increased on both sides of the ball just in his first full year in the big leagues. So there is absolutely no reason that we shouldn't expect more and more out of that from Nolan Gorman. Book it. Last but not least, we will wrap up each STL Cards season scrapbook episode, say that 5 times fast, with what else but a vibe check. We need our weekly vibe checks here at Peace, Love, and Baseball. I'm thinking of coming up with like vibes as a stat, so we'll see if I can put some data and analytics to this as we continue these episodes. But for right now, it's just kind of my overall observations, my feelings. I'm going to give you a word to take with you for your vibe check this week. I want to reflect first on the similarities from last season. Pitch to contact, starters who are going to give up 5+ runs at least every few starts, still there. Offense that vibes together one way or the other. So, like, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But differences from last season, it has been more good than bad in terms of the offense vibing. And they only have 5 home runs so far, but have 38 runs scored. So in comparison to other teams who have around the same amount of runs scored, like the Giants, the Red Sox, and the Royals all have either 38 or 39 runs scored. Forgive the company. Don't focus on that right now. Again, it's too early in the season to be like, oh, we're the same as the Giants, the Red Sox, and the Royals. Royals gonna be sneaky, okay? So don't sleep on them. But all of these teams have scored 38 or 39 runs, similar to the Cardinals, but the Giants have hit 10 home runs, the Red Sox have hit 9, and the Royals have hit 12 home runs. What I'm looking at from that is the Cardinals' ability to string hits and offense together and not have to rely on power. Because I think that's something that, again, we talked about a little bit ago about how the team was built to win high-scoring games, and they were expected to rely on that power, whether it was there or not, and regardless of injuries and all kinds of things. So it's just a really important thing for any competitive team to be able to do. And I feel like we're seeing them do that. You know, the power will come. You know, it's there. And overall, on both sides of the ball, the team just seems much more in sync. Like I was saying, messaging and expectations are more clear. You got to assume that that allows them to focus on showing up to the best of their ability day in and day out. And that's even with all of the injuries, which we have not even talked about. How different did that lineup look opening day at Busch Stadium than you expected it to look? It was crazy, but it was a great game. And that's something to definitely take note of as well, that even with the twists and turns and all of the things we can't predict, this team has fight and depth to it that I think they didn't have last season. So good news, Sonny Gray, we heard that he is going to return this week. He will make his St. Louis Cardinals debut at Busch Stadium against the Phillies on Tuesday. He's going to be limited to around 65 pitches. Sounds great. Looking forward to it. He's going to go head to head with Zach Wheeler. Like, how fun is that going to be? You guys, as Cardinals fans, it has been so long since we have had a pitcher the caliber of Sonny Gray, to where I'm like pumped for the pitching matchup itself. So personally, I'm really excited for that. Let me know if you feel the same. Like, what can you think about the last time that you were like, I can't wait to see this pitcher go head to head with this pitcher? And I'm a pitcher's duel gal. So maybe that's just me, but it's been a while and I'm ready for it. Lars Nootbaar could be activated as soon as tomorrow. Tommy Edman and Dylan Carlson are still down, but Michael Ciani and Victor Scott too are contributing, particularly with their defensive capabilities, which is just going to continue to be a huge piece. I will reiterate that again, for the Cardinals to crank out wins in 2024. So all that being said, what are the vibes like, Kelsey? What's the vibe check? Overall vibes, here's my word for you, are hopeful. Hopeful. I don't want to get too excited just yet. Don't want to overanalyze any one particular thing. But I would say hopeful puts us just north of the center on the vibe scale. Again, going to work on getting you a more official vibe scale, because one of my missions here at Peace, Love, and Baseball is to, have vibes become a true piece of data that John Mozeliak can utilize. But right now, statistically as a team, they rank right in the middle for pretty much all basic statistics on both sides of the ball, from innings pitched to ERA to hits and runs scored. And while that right there might actually be the epitome of like a lot of our frustrations with the Cardinals, I don't know about you, but like planning to be on the right side of mediocrity is not, exactly what I'd like to expect as a lifelong Cardinals fan. It is a new season, and this is a new team in so many ways. So I'm going to wrap it up tonight by saying stay hopeful, friends and fans. That is our STL Cards season scrapbook episode for week 1 of the 2024 season. Hey, follow the K-Bird Tweets YouTube channel. Subscribe there and wherever you listen to your podcasts. This will be in the Peace, Love, and Baseball podcast feed tomorrow on Monday morning, April 8th, along with your weekly episodes of Peace, Love, and Baseball that will keep coming at you every Tuesday throughout the season, throughout the whole year. The opening day episode is live, or is not live. It's not live. I did record it live because I was there, but not live like this. The opening day episode will be up this week, and more team features are in the pipeline. Lots of good stuff still coming your way on Peace, Love, and Baseball. Just got a little extra Cardinals love because clearly I have plenty to say about it. So tune in next week and every Sunday night live at 7 p.m. Central. I will catch you next time on the St. Louis Cardinals season scrapbook edition of Peace, Love, and Baseball. See ya.